Once, in the heart of a land where the sun painted the sky in golden hues and rivers sparkled like threads of silver, there grew a tree unlike any other. This tree, the baobab, was magnificent. Its bark was smooth, its branches tall, and its leaves lush and green, catching the light in a way that made it look as though it was crowned with jewels. As it grew, its beauty became a thing of legend, and animals and other plants admired it from afar. The birds would build their nests in its branches, and the animals found shade and comfort under its wide canopy. Even the wind seemed to whisper sweet songs to the baobab, dancing through its leaves and celebrating its elegance. But over time, the baobab began to feel something shift within itself. It was no longer satisfied with simply being admired. It began to crave attention, to desire recognition as the most beautiful tree in all the land. It noticed how other trees would bow slightly when the wind passed through, and it held its head higher, stretching its branches as far as they would go to capture more sunlight than its neighbors. Day by day, its pride grew, and with it, a certain arrogance settled into its roots. It started boasting to the other trees about its height, its strength, and its beauty, telling tales of how it was favored by the sun, the rain, and even the stars. The other trees began to grow weary of the baobab's constant boasting. The acacia trees, with their small leaves and thorny branches, sighed in frustration. The fig trees, humble and steadfast, began to lose their patience, and even the wise old mahogany shook its branches in silent disapproval. The animals, too, started to avoid the baobab, for its once friendly shade felt colder, tainted by its vanity. The baobab's pride had grown so large that it no longer noticed how it affected those around it. All it cared for was its own beauty. One day, as the baobab stood basking in the midday sun, a small, delicate bird approached it. The bird, a tiny creature with feathers as blue as the sky and a voice as soft as the morning breeze, looked up at the towering baobab and chirped gently. "Oh, great baobab," it said, "why do you grow so proud and distant from those who once loved you? Remember, we all share the same earth, the same sun, and the same rains. Perhaps it would do you well to remember kindness and humility." But the baobab scoffed at the little bird. "How could a creature as small and insignificant as you understand the greatness that is me?" it boomed, its voice rustling through its leaves. "I am the tallest, the strongest, and the most beautiful. I do not need to listen to creatures who do not even reach the first of my branches." Hurt and saddened, the little bird flew away, leaving the baobab alone once more. But its words echoed through the forest, reaching the ears of the spirits of the land. The spirit of nature, who watched over all living things, had heard of the baobab's pride and had grown concerned. This pride was poisoning the harmony of the land, and it could not be allowed to continue. That night, under a sky heavy with stars, the spirit of nature came to the baobab. It appeared as a soft, shimmering light that glowed gently around the tree, casting a quiet calm over the forest. "Baobab," the spirit spoke, its voice a mix of the wind's whisper and the river's murmur, "I gave you beauty and strength so that you might bring shade to the weary, shelter to the small, and peace to all who sought comfort under your branches. But you have forgotten the purpose of your gifts, using them only to serve yourself. You must learn humility, for even the tallest trees grow from the earth and rely on its nourishment." The baobab, filled with its own pride, laughed. "What could you possibly do to humble a tree as grand as I?" it challenged, its branches swaying defiantly. The spirit, seeing that words alone would not sway the baobab, decided to teach it a lesson it would never forget. With a gentle but powerful wave of its hand, the spirit lifted the baobab from the earth, roots and all. The tree was stunned, feeling itself rise into the air, helpless and at the mercy of the spirit's power. Then, with careful precision, the spirit turned the baobab upside down, plunging its roots into the open air and burying its branches deep into the earth. The baobab gasped as it felt its world shift completely. Where once it had stretched its leaves toward the sun, now only its roots reached into the open sky. Its branches, once adorned with leaves, were buried in the soil, unseen by any who passed. It felt exposed, vulnerable, and, most painfully, humbled. Its beauty was hidden, its strength reduced, and for the first time, it felt the weight of solitude. As the days turned into years, the baobab adapted to its new form. Its once proud roots, now open to the sky, grew thick and sturdy, capable of holding vast amounts of water to sustain it through droughts. Its buried branches found a new strength as they anchored it deeply to the earth, allowing it to survive the strongest of storms. Though it could no longer boast of its beauty, it found that it possessed resilience beyond measure, a silent strength that needed no praise. The animals and trees, who had once grown tired of the baobab's pride, began to return, marveling at its unusual shape and its quiet strength. Birds once again nested in the hollows of its roots, finding shelter from rain and sun. Animals sought its shade, and other trees grew close, their branches entwined in companionship. The baobab had become a part of the forest once more, humble yet essential. And so, the baobab tree became a symbol of resilience, strength, and humility. Its roots, reaching up to the sky, served as a reminder of the lesson it had learned, that true greatness lies not in outward beauty or pride, but in the quiet strength that comes from humility and the willingness to serve others. To this day, people tell the story of the baobab, calling it the upside-down tree. And when they see its roots stretching toward the heavens, they remember the Spirit's lesson, a tale passed down through generations, teaching all who listen the power of humility and the strength that lies in every being who lives in harmony with the earth.